but I'm not dumb, you know. So I reached out to Virginia when she said that she was not going to do that to herself, and that's the article that a lot of mainstream news are reporting right now. But it's in the replies where I met her. And so like a lot of people don't know what was in the replies because a lot of those accounts were suspended. So although like the main screenshot, the post is going viral, every single like New York Post, New York, like I don't know if fake news, New York Times is talking about that, but I knew New York Post and a lot of mainstream people are. So now that she's gone, it's extremely traumatizing. I've been extremely messed up about it for a while because her and I talked extensively for, well, since 2019. We met each other on that tweet. I literally told her like, yo, you're not wrong to be concerned about your safety level and your danger level because I'm also concerned about that myself. And here's my resume. So she understood quickly. And then I hit her in the DMs, of course. That old profile that I have all those DMs with Virginia is suspended forever. I kind of got into that last podcast, but it's just like a really deep web. And yeah, that's where we first met. And I guess we could start there. It's just so much. And the last thing I'll say before I pitch it over is that
sure.
I've been extremely traumatized because her and I had a lot of messages, even as recently as November. We had a lot of plans, and I'll get into that. But she really supported me in Elliot's work and what we were exposing about Mercy Corps. And we will get into that. But it's just so sad that this is the first day that I actually can articulate some of these things, because the last couple of days I have been floored. Like I got hit by a Mack truck grief-wise. I couldn't even sit with myself in my own grief. So I literally like talked myself like into oblivion to a lot of my friends on the phone, to the point where like I stayed up at night, my immune system got wrecked, and now I'm like sick as hell and I have the flu or something. So like again, it's suspect timing. I know it's probably just a flu, but if I end up somehow like not here, if you will, I didn't do that. And I was just here, and the last, I'm sick. I hope I'm just sick, but I'm even concerned about that. It's like weird timing. But yeah, thank you for having me on the show, Elliot. Thanks for the intro. But yeah, that's kind of, I guess, where we start.
Well, you see, I think for me, it's always very different when you report on someone who is someone in the news, they're someone on social media or whatever. But when it comes to someone like yourself, Elliot and Patrick, who have had interactions with Virginia, you've got that working relationship, you've got that bond, you've got that friendship. Can you just, first of all, take us back to what it was like at the start of your relationship with Virginia, how that all came about? You'd mentioned that it was from the 29 tweet in your introduction there. But take us through some of the plans, because I think for me, that the lawyer had mentioned that she'd made plans with him as well. And for me, I would like to hear just sort of where her head was at on the build up to this, the best that we can. So could you take us through your initial friendship with her and some of the plans you had, and anything else you would like to share with us, really?
Absolutely. I can get into that here in a second, but I think it would be easier if Elliot were to kind of like frame that so I don't tangent. I have like a lot of what they call trauma trances, and I don't want to go into a trauma trance because I'm highly, messed up about this right now. So Elliot, do you want to like go in on how I met her on February 20th, because the Assange thing, and that how it quickly got real to her and why she sent me that DM on Instagram?
I feel like you would explain it much better than me, but I can do it as good justice as I can.
Go for it.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, I don't know a ton about this Assange tweet specifically, but they obviously were connecting early on, back before Virginia was even on Instagram. And once Virginia was moving over to Instagram, Patrick was one of the first people that she texted, and they had a long history of, really supporting each other. And Patrick was planning, to do some more kind of real action against Mercy Corps, and Virginia was supporting that as as much as she could without getting directly involved, obviously, because she's in some ongoing legal stuff. But there's a history of messages, and Patrick has actually recently posted those on his Instagram. So I think that that will be linked in the bio to see those, and that would probably give one of the best understandings of that. But yeah, Patrick, you want to fill in anything I left out?
Yeah, great intro. So pretty much I had reached out to Virginia with that tweet that we just had up on screen, and I sent her a DM, and I quickly told her my resume. I put a link to like my what was it? Alyssa Kenny Geyer, the state representative that was connected to the Mercy Corps scandal. Her husband was the CEO, of course. When I worked for her in 2013, she kind of like read my resume into the House floor on video, into the House record, like I was some like second Messiah or coming of Christ. It was like kind of awkward and hilarious to me. I'm like, why? Wow, thanks for the the shout out, but you're reading my resume into the House floor for 2 straight minutes when all the other legislative interns got like a 10-second mention. Like, she actually really was impressed by my work. And so it's so funny that now Alyssa Kenny Geyer wants to run around and probably slander me behind my back. But it's like, well, wait, didn't you like used to love me? And Tina Kotek's in that video too. And now she's governor. And even she said thank you. So I showed Virginia that link. I replied to her and posted that link to the video. It's so funny because Alyssa Kenny Geyer tried to intimidate me once I became a whistleblower. She tried to get me to like never post that video or use it in any regard. I'm like, no, I'm a whistleblower on you, and this is the only way that like I'm going to prove that we knew each other, and it's actually one of the best ways because you anointed me on the House floor and you loved me. Clearly on the video, it shows all that. So it's perturbed the deep state, if you will, because there's a lot of those links, and they try to scrub the internet. So I replied to Virginia. I said, hey, I do have a resume. Here it is. Here's the link to me on the House floor, and it's kind of funny, but it's also not funny at all because it kind of scares me. I might be in danger talking on this level. And so, what tweet is that right there? Oh yeah, so that's a message on Instagram where I pretty much told her that I knew Snoop Dogg's Uncle Rio in Portland, and that I was going to be going there to talk to him about doing music videos and stuff. He had already promised that. Well, he had already pitched the idea years before, after the Jeremy Christian Mack stabbing. We blamed Ted Wheeler for that, and I went to Rio's. And I said, would you be down to do music videos against Ted Wheeler? And he was like, absolutely. Like, what? Hell yeah, let's do it. Like, you want to film music videos? You want to have a cookout, block party, concert? What you want to do? So I knew Rio since 2017 from the Mac stabbing. And I went over there to build bridges. Well, the sad thing about that message you just showed is Virginia was blown away by the fact that you can even see in the next messages. They're all on my Instagram. Not all of them, but like some of the more introductory ones where we first met are on my Instagram. And I probably will release a lot more in a WikiLeaks style drip just so that people really understand what we were working on. But that's a good intro. And she says that, right there, she loves the advice. She loves the idea of like doing gangster, hilarious, like block parties against Epstein. And she was blown away that I knew Stoop's uncle. And she even mentions that she's going to tell her kids about it and that her 14-year-old son raps. Well, that concerns me because like we now know that Robert like tried to kill her and like beat her to death's door in January, allegedly. So I'm now concerned, and a lot of other people, Kirby Somers, many other people have said she ghosted all of us. And
here's the thing, Patrick, right? When you say, when collectively people are coming together and saying that she's ghosted them, right? I've got one of these brains that strips away the humanity and looks at data points and things. Okay. So at the moment, I'm trying to build data points of proof of life. When was the last time we have somebody who can confirm an in-person conversation, a video call, or a voice call, not a DM, not a text message, not a social media post, not a single picture posted on someone's social media? When is the last? Yeah, the last confirmed anything? Because I'm very much on the side of this woman was part of the biggest bust of global elites and human transportation that we'll probably ever see in our lives, right? And I always imagine Jeffrey Epstein having a big Rolodex on his metaphorical desk with everyone's name on it that's ever been to the island or a party. A lot of them will see her as a loose end running around. And it's okay if you just disappear. If you just disappear and lay low and stay quiet. But she became an icon. She became this figure of strength. She became this badass, okay, to put it bluntly, in the face of what I refer to as the cabal, the New World Order, Illuminati, whatever you want to throw at the puppets or the people that pull the strings. And it concerns me because if they've managed to orchestrate something, whether it's forcing her hand to end her life herself, whether it was a tragic accident involving a mixture of pills, we've now got this suicide, this unaliving note that's come into the papers today.
Was that her actual suicide note? I didn't interpret it as that.
Dude, it's like
it doesn't. I feel like it would have to be more than, because what I saw, it was like specifically about, like, seemed like the way it was phrased on the brothers. Like, I think, I don't know exactly what platform. I think it was Instagram that he posted it on. It didn't seem like he was saying this was her suicide note. He said it was her last handwritten note. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like, because obviously here's the thing, right? The suicide note is really crucial to this, because should she have actually killed herself? Yeah. You would think, given how high profile she is, given that she has 3 kids that she loves very much, she would leave something, right? Now, here's the golden dagger. Now, here's the thing I think that a lot of people are kind of glossing over, is the fact that she was in a very active divorce proceeding with her husband, right?
Yeah.
She has a lot of money, right? Now, she killed herself unalived herself before the divorce was settled, which means that the husband, theoretically, should she not have like a very robust will, would have access to all of her money. She would be able to control that.
Elliot, I call this the murder she wrote theory, okay? Because the only person that I can see who is telling consistent lies, in my humble opinion, is the 70-year-old farm worker, okay?
The farm worker?
She's the one who said Virginia was in the car. We have an eyewitness that says she wasn't. That eyewitness was then backed up by a bunch of children, whether they're eyewitnesses or not, don't know, but they backed up what he said. So if we were to take that as fact, in my humble opinion, she was never in that car. There was never a bus accident. You telling me this woman's gone dark and has suddenly became capable of going invisible in this car? It just doesn't make any sense. So to me, there was no bus crash with Virginia. She never made it to any hospital because no one's seen her go in or out. And you're telling me that the most famous woman in the world in a hospital, there's not even just one social media person that's going to go and try and snap a picture of her. The only images we have been supplied by 1 or 2 mainstream outlets, which are the images of her going to buy farm feed, flipping off the person of her bruised in a hotel, and then this random post from her brother on social media. Now, I'm sorry. If you know anything about let's take it down a few levels in criminality, just the cartels. If you, Patrick, and if I'm the cartel leader, Patrick, and you're the guy who's just screwed me over, and you just so happen to have a wife and child, I now own you, Patrick. Okay? Because your wife and child are going to pay for your sins. So you're going to do.
That's how they think of this, and you hit the nail on the head. Thank you for mentioning that, because these people look.
That's how it's done. Yeah. It's so much cheaper. It's so much cheaper.
Well, as you must be, are you Scottish or Irish? Because if you're one of the other,
I'm Scottish.
So you must understand then the fight with my family for Barnaby the first Baron of Upper Ossory County under Henry VIII. He was forced to bend the knee under threat of, well, you know what Henry VIII did to all of his wives. Like, this dude Henry kidnapped my ancestors' wife and kid. And that's how it's done. Bloodline wars. Luckily, I'm still
not being funny. The English used to come into my country and pump all the wives on their wedding night. Okay, I'm real sorry about your aunt and that, but a whole nation of women just lying in torment with the king's babies. No, I'm busting.
No, I agree with you. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying based on history, we know you're Scottish, I'm Irish. We know that they attack bloodlines.
You're Irish. Sorry, you're Irish. Yeah, that's fine. We can be friends. I thought you were giving me some English madness there.
No. I'm saying we know that they are horrible. The crown, the deep state, and we know that they target entire countries and bloodlines of leaders that would revolt against them. That's what I was trying to say.
They gave us all the nukes, though, mate. Right? Scotland's got all the nukes. Right? Everyone's like, oh, we need to get rid of nukes. I'm like, nah. We'll keep them. We'll keep a hold of them. Try and kick off, mate. We're really temperamental here. We'll just nuke everything and just spite nuke. Do you know what I'm saying? We'll just spite nuke everything. Okay, so let's circle back. So it's interesting because I refer to some of the general public as surface level media consumers. So they're happy to scroll down a page, see some headlines, and that's the only news they take in, Patrick. It's just a headline, okay? And when you see a headline like this, you will basically see the word handwritten note and know that this woman and left behind and that word there, this one, all right? Your brain is making that the unalive note. You see what I'm saying? So for a percentage of people, they're seeing this headline, their brain is saying, oh, that's the unalive note. But where does it say it is that? Which is interesting, because that's what Elliot's point was there. They're saying there's a note. Is it the actual note that was left behind? Was it one of the many boxes of evidence? Patrick, when somebody unalives themselves, when is it common practice for boxes and boxes of evidence to be taken from their house? It just doesn't make any sense to me.
None of it makes sense. And a lot of things are just confusing right now. And one of the things that needs to be said about the headlines is that every single headline is wrong right now. What do I mean by that? Well, it's very important that we're victim and women centered. And Virginia gave her life to fight for us. And that note even said that she was not done fighting. And so we need to honor her name and the sacrifice. And she was divorcing her husband. She had changed her name on Instagram back to Roberts. And so I know a lot of people are just out of habit saying Virginia Giuffre, but her name is not Virginia Giuffre. Her name is Virginia Roberts. And we must remember that, because the man that had the name Giuffre that was given to her that she discarded allegedly was beating her, extremely beating her. And I'll just leave it at that. I don't want to say words that'll trigger the algorithm censorship.
Here's the thing, right? Yeah. Just to throw this one out there too. So what is the track record of receipts for Virginia's domestic situation? Has she been to the police about it? Is it something that she just spoke to her friends about? Was there a lot of verbalization from Virginia about her ex-husband to you guys?
There's actually testimony from Alan Dershowitz, of all people.
Okay.
Surprisingly. You can find this on Kirby's X. She posted this recently. It's also on Kirby's Instagram. But there's testimony of Alan Dershowitz saying that Virginia could not appear in court because she was being beaten by her husband. Now, I also saw just before I came on
How
here.
far back was that, Elliot? How far back? How long ago was that?
I don't know exactly. I just saw it on Kirby's Instagram and X because she reposted it. I think it's older. It's not recent.
It's not recent.
Yeah, I just saw it in passing, but it's pretty. Okay. It's one of those things. I can send it to you right now. I can find it
because that's interesting to me. I want to try and put together all of the evidence about the husband, because it's very easy to orchestrate a massive plan if you're a secret, horrible secret government. There's a bigger picture here, and Ron is very much picking at the proverbial label of it all because it stinks, and I hate to keep going back to it. The bus crash makes no sense to me. How can your brother do an interview and his take on it is, oh, it was meant to be put on a private Facebook group? What?
Yeah, how does that? It's pretty weird.
It doesn't make sense. I honestly, I make this joke about the bus crash, about how everyone with a brain was off in the Illuminati headquarters that day, and it was little Billy that was left in charge of the bus crash to frame it all, and he screwed it all up because it doesn't make any sense. It makes sense if you look at the Murder, She Wrote theory, where it was a family member. Allegedly, this is just a theory. There's no evidence pointing to anything, just so you know, any lawyers that are watching. But this lady, the 70-year-old who lied to the police, lied in her testimony, because we have an eyewitness report that says Virginia was not in that car. She's the only one in the public telling massive lies. Could this be a family situation where the husband or anyone else is trying to get a hold of that money?
Well, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier.
Yeah.
It just really doesn't make sense that she would do it then, right? I can totally believe that she would be driven to do something like that, given the recent events, right? Now, when she wrote that tweet 5 years ago, it was probably a little bit different of a circumstance, different situation. Now she's going through a divorce. She allegedly got in the bus crash. Obviously, there's some big questions about that. Her kids were, taken away from her. She had a restraining order filed against her. And obviously, your feelings can change dramatically. Now, this is where the note is crucial. We don't know if there's a note. It doesn't seem like there is a note. And the timing is really, it just makes no sense. You'd think that if she really was going to do this to herself, then she would wait. She would wait until after the divorce was settled so that she could make sure that her money went to something that she would support rather than to her husband who is abusing her.
That's a great idea. So protecting the bag, 100% I can get behind. I just feel like if Virginia Roberts was to do this to herself on purpose, willingly, because this is what she wanted to do, I think she would have left a pile of notes for her children, a massive note to the public, like knowing how the conspiracy frenzy is going to be, right? I'm not buying this for a second. Sadly, the analogy of if you love anyone, evil owns you. This woman had children. You imagine getting a phone call. Hey, just so you know, you've got 24 hours to not be in existence anymore, or your kids are going to end up on the new island. That is the only way I could see a mother willingly exiting this world, would be to protect her children. I don't understand how I missed this. KLG is saying I don't trust the brother. You're right. The brother's made statements that don't make sense and done social media posts that don't add up to me. I'm throwing the brother in my massive, allegedly, I have no evidence at all theory with the farmhand, because was all that evidence taken out of the house because the police are like, this is the worst hack job I've seen in my life, and we're going to see some charges getting brought? Who knows? I don't know. But I just don't, none of it makes any sense. And I don't like it. My autism doesn't shut up when things don't make sense. I need things in order. You know, that's why I like looking at data points. I need to know the last confirmed sighting or interaction with her alive. I need to know all of the times. Who's accused the husband of this? Is it people speaking for her as a pretext? Because, oh my God, if you're going to make someone disappear, you better have a fall guy lined up. And what better fall guy than a beating husband of a woman who stands for survivors? Allegedly. All of this, I'm just a guy on the internet making up things with no proof, allegedly. But everything makes no sense. And that picture, are we meant to believe that was a picture of her in hospital? And she's tweeting that out herself. My community and I strongly believe, boys, and you can tell me that I'm crazy, but we strongly believe that is not a living person that is lying.
I've seen that in the comments. I haven't actually thought about that angle, but what you were telling me about the other day about kind of trying to destroy her credibility after the fact, right? Just today, I saw a Daily Mail article where a survivor of Epstein, an alleged survivor of, they accused Virginia of helping him solicit some of the girls and like recruit them. Now, obviously, this is kind of, I've seen like, this is kind of what Victoria Harvey says. Obviously, yep. I'm not going to like go ahead and buy that just because of, one person. But it's wild. Like you can already see post-mortem, they're immediately already trying to go after her credibility.
We spoke about this the other day. I'm going to tell you, next 4 weeks, you're going to see groundbreaking evidence that could support 2 separate photographs being merged together to make that Prince Andrew photograph. You have to partially destroy the credibility of the mental state of the person that you're going to eliminate in 2025, and then follow it up with the complete character destruction of not just who they were, but their legacy. Once you make the public go, oh, liar, write off, all you need to do is win 51% of the audience. And then over time, a percentage of that 49% will just not care and fade away. The same with but you're always going to be left with a higher amount that believe the nonsense over time. And it's sad because I called everything in this so far. I hate being right about this stuff. But I guarantee you the next thing we're going to see is her whole legacy destroyed, and they're going to try and reanimate Prince Andrew. And I wonder if Maxwell's just been holding on for this moment. And I wonder if we're going to see something that helps her out in one of those boxes. I'm just saying, but I tell you what, you could tell me that it was Coco the Clown that done this, and it makes more sense than the narrative that's being put out. I'm just saying. So
especially when there isn't really a narrative coming out about how she did it. Obviously, there's the OD is kind of the main thing. Now, obviously, to me, that's pharmacide, whether it be just a cocktail of medicine. Now, she was in renal kidney failure, supposedly, right? So you would think that her ability to process these medicines, especially overlapping ones. Now it'll be interesting to see if she was also maybe drinking, right? I'm just saying anything's on the table here, but
of course
you could also get laced, right? That's the number one problem in America right now. So many kids are dying from fent, and we'll see what ends up coming out. But it sounds like the toxicology report could take like 2 years. I mean,
right.
That sounds insane. Now you'd think for something like this, they kind of have to expedite that process. It seems ridiculous to say that it would take 2 years to do something as simple as a drug screening on a dead person.
Listen, I'm not being funny. Just let us know how much it costs. How much is the private one? Right? The internet will sort it out, mate. Like, we'll have that paid for in one live stream. Okay? Because
Totally.
it's almost, right now, listen, you can call me crazy, Elliot, but it's almost like they want to just wait a long time. Just long enough so that the people that are just here for the headline clout, they all are on to the next headline. Okay, we've got all the surface dweller media consumers seeing headlines that satisfy their curiosity. We've got, who was that? Prince Andrew did what with somebody fading into complete disarray? I guarantee you they'll try and spin this where Epstein was framed. He was actually a complete and utterly nice guy. And this is the world we're going to go into. Because when we can have someone like Virginia go in such suspicious circumstances with lore behind it, like the 110-mile-an-hour bus, the 4 days to live, the brother giving random statements. I want to talk to the brother and this farm worker. Okay. And I just want to say, if we need to get a GoFundMe for that bus driver, he needs to leave Australia. Okay. If anyone can put him up in Canada, probably a good place for him to go, if I'm being honest. Because he's also sounding a bit like a loose end right now. But that's only if it's the cabal. If it's the family, they were already so dumb that they thought they could fake a 110-kilometer crash in this. And again, Patrick, you're just listening to a man ramble here, so I do apologize. Let's circle back round. If you had to put money on it, can you remember the last time that you had a phone call with Virginia, or was it all just DMs?
It was multiple DMs on multiple accounts and tweets. So we talked on Twitter in the DMs and publicly, and then we moved over to Instagram in 2020 as well when she joined Instagram. And in November, she was interested in calling me for the first time ever. Again, many survivors had said that she would stop talking for like a long time. I'd like to talk to some of the other survivors and have a roundtable discussion about when the last time they actually ever heard from her was, because I know that a lot of people said that she would go silent. But she actually talked to me in 2023 and continued to like a lot of my posts, even though she didn't reply to me. I would keep her updated. So around 2023, she kind of like something changed, and I'm not the only one to say that. I noticed that. But in 2024, in November, I told her about the Louis Freeh connection and how, based on the Mercy Corps settlement, she may have a case because Louis Freeh was the guy who Alan Dershowitz hired to silence her and fake investigate and whitewash stuff in 2016. So for 3 more years, kids were R-worded and whatnot, because the actions of people like, one could argue that Louis Freeh could have done something more, but he just shielded Alan Dershowitz and the Epstein network by that limited hangout investigation in 2016. But that we know Epstein's real because in 2019 he got arrested and raided, and we're now talking about it right now. So why is there no justice for the fact that we didn't hear about it in 2016? Me and Elliot discovered that it was Louis Freeh that did that under Dershowitz. And again, she was concerned for a long time because Dershowitz was saying that she was a liar. Well, I think it's like the Law Abiding Citizen movie with Gerard Butler, and one quote in that movie often was repeated, saying, "It's not what you know, it's what you can prove in court." Right. And so I think Virginia never escaped the island with the tapes. I think she hoped in 2019. Again, she got silenced in 2016, and then 2019 comes around. I think she had false hope that the tapes were going to be released and exonerate her allegations. Possibly, they could have, if there were tapes, they could possibly have exonerated her allegations against Dershowitz. And I think she thought maybe that those would be released. and they never were. And Pam Bondi, where are they? Release the tapes. We don't want to see them. We want to we you know, blur them out and redact them and all that kind of stuff that you need to do to protect stuff. Nobody wants to see that, but we want to know, you know, like, is what she said about Dershowitz true or not? Full stop. And I think that whatever this FBI is sitting on could give us a lot of information onto that.